Hello and welcome to the British Gaming Podcast. It is, fuck me, it's the 27th of September already. I'm Sam Webster. With me this evening is a bottle of Green King Abbot Ale. Good, classic, reliable, you know what you're getting. And for when I get through that, we've got some Old Golden Hen, which I've had Old Speckled Hen. Again, good, classic, reliable British ale. Not tried Golden Hen, so we'll see how that goes. Oh, and Terry Kane is also here.
For a moment, I thought you were starting to describe me, and I was getting a bit worried.
No, it's been a very long day, and Sammy has ale.
That's always the best remedy.
Cold, too. It's been in the fridge all day.
So, while you're coming to terms with your alcohol problem, want to discuss tell the people what to expect tonight?
Yeah, sure. So, we have got the usual, what we've been playing this week. A little announcement to say that Top 10 Racing Games is inbound. Sort of a reminder, because we already announced it. I give a mini review of the Dead Rising remaster. Digital Homicide have committed suicide. Not actual proper suicide, just career suicide.
By the way, that's the closest you ever get to getting Sam to do a rap.
Oh, yeah. There are...
Word.
Oh, no, there was one. I think it was called the Norwich Rap, and it was awful, and I think all copies have been destroyed.
I am so genuinely sad that I've never seen this.
Ask Richie, he might still have it.
Oh,
I don't know why I'm telling you this.
Hey, it could be worse. I was a 12-year-old in southeast London, and I had like a couple of rap battles before.
Oh, come on. We all knew at least one kid with short-shaved hair that they then bleached blonde who sat around moping and talking about the street and the hood despite coming from suburbia.
Yeah, the thing is, I bleached my hair blonde once and it was not pretty. I ended up...
Oh, no, it wasn't.
No, I ended up looking like Jonah Hill at the start of 21 Jump Street. Not so Slim Shady.
Who was, at the time, emulating Eminem.
Yeah.
I love coming full circle.
So
yeah, a Nintendo 64 emulator appeared on the Xbox One App Store before being pulled. And because it's actually been a slow couple of weeks for news, I actually have a discussion/debate topic, reproduction games. So, what do we think of them? Would we ever buy one? Do we think there's a place for them? Do they do any harm? There's a fair bit. And then I've scheduled in fan questions, but actually there are no fan questions this week. What we do have are a number of corrections, because we keep getting our facts wrong. So we've got Nort Mugen, or if he's from Top North, that might be Naut Mugen, I'm not entirely sure. He'll correct us, telling us that, among various other things, and actually I quite like this guy, he's like, I'm learning things. Like he is curing my ignorance. This is good. We need to get this guy. Bring him on sometime so he can just sit there the entire thing going, that's fucking wrong.
Nope.
What are they teaching you in school? So this week he would just like to chime in to tell us that Metal Gear Solid Twin Snakes is owned by Konami. The Metal Gear Solid 1 voice clip you hear in Shadow Moses on Metal Gear Solid 4 are taken from the Twin Snakes, apparently. He also says that Kojima isn't a big fan of the Twin Snakes, and it's not the canon version of events. However, he does like it, and he does wish it would get a re-release. So we postured that maybe it was to do with Silicon Knights' involvement, or Nintendo, maybe they were waving rights around and being dicks, but apparently not. So we have that. Troy Dishman, which is, if that's the dude's real name, that is one of the best surnames I've seen in a while.
Dishman?
In fact, I got an email from my letting agents this past week, and it was signed off by Miss Susan Honeybun. That was her fucking name, Honeybun. He'd just like to tell us that Nep and Fez did FIFA, not Counter-Strike Go. So he was scumming like the Ultimate Team stuff, not the CSGO skins, but it's more or less the same principle.
Yeah, see, I got confused by that because I thought he did both, but then I had to look through his channel and then I did see like
FIFA,
yeah,
FIFA, FIFA,
yeah,
FIFA.
nothing CS:GO. So
We do about as much research as Jim Sterling, and then we blame it on Chip.
no, let's blame it on Richie.
Yeah, fucking hell, Richie. Where were you, man? You keep us on the straight and narrow. When you're not here, it goes to chaos.
Oh,
He's at the fucking seaside tonight, isn't he?
yeah, I know. Great, like week to choose to go to the seaside, right?
Yeah. It's raining and cold again as we enter autumn. Fuck it, I'll go to the beach.
That is actually the most British thing ever.
It's true. We took my daughter, not her 4th birthday recently, but her 3rd birthday, so the year before. We took her down to Bournemouth and thought, yeah, fuck it. She hasn't seen the beach or the sea before. And despite it being mid-August, it absolutely pissed it down with rain. And we actually sat there on the beach, folded out a chair, and we were like, nope, we fucking brought them here to play in the sand. They're going to fucking play in the sand. Kids
Great.
didn't mind. They loved it.
Fair enough.
And Lupasillo would just like us to know, when I can get my words out properly, the Sonic Generations Collector's Edition is far better than the Sonic Mania Collector's Edition, and we win that one.
Yeah, fair. I
He's
think,
on side.
but then I think everyone would win if it was worldwide releases. Personally,
Yeah, that's not going to happen, is it? Because Sega apparently are allergic to money.
yeah, that's true. Oh, that reminds me. I think it was from Game on my Facebook newsfeed earlier. They're advertising a pre-order bonus for Sonic Boom Fire and Ice. And you remember those
the soundtrack CD?
No. You remember those Sonic hats we got at Western Supersonic?
Oh shit, those?
Yeah, it's one of those.
They've been giving those away at a bunch of events and shit for like 5 years. I think they made them, put them on a storefront somewhere, and then just no one bought them. So like, shit, what do we do with these?
It's pretty much that. Like, it's just for anyone listening. It's literally just Sonic spikes in hat form, basically. Like, all. But,
it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Like, as a freebie, I like it. I would not pay money for it.
No, me neither.
Outside of that Sonic event and that one horrific photo you got of me wearing it, I don't think I've ever worn it again.
That horrific photo I got of you, aka the one that you were like, take this picture of me.
Yeah, that one. Right, so, with that said, what have you been playing this week?
Oh god, yeah, we're talking about games, aren't we?
It is a games podcast.
Oh.
I'm glad you're with the program.
Yeah. I got Trials of the Blood Dragon on a Uplay sale for £5.99. That is actually really fun.
Trials looks fun, but it looks too much like the free motocross flash games I used to play in high school for me to then pay money for it.
Oh yeah, I forgot about those.
Yeah, it's pretty much the same thing from the demos I've played.
It's much more polished and polished enough so that it can be regarded as its own thing. Plus, there's guns in it as well because hey, it's Blood Dragon.
Right, yeah, of course there is.
And it reeks of like 90s nostalgia as well. So I think it would be your thing.
I thought
actually,
Blood Dragon went for 80s.
I guess it's. I don't know. There's a bit of a blurred line between them. I find. Original Blood Dragon, yeah, definitely 80s. Trials, however, it's a bit more blurred, I'd say. But I guess they probably were going for 80s. But
Okay.
I don't know. It just kind of reminds me of the sort of stuff I used to see when I was a kid, and we were 90s kids. I mean, we were like alive for about a few months in the 80s.
Fair play. Richie's just sent us a link. So he must be having one hell of a time at the beach to be sending us links on Facebook. Grand Theft Auto has been updated to include custom avatars. So you can now have... And bikes come out on the 4th, he's just said.
Bikers. The next edition to GTA Online brings motorcycle clubs to the forefront of Los Santos.
Yeah, motorcycle clubs, so that people can shoot you straight off the fucking things, because that's what happens in online. Thanks, Richie. Glad you're here in spirit.
You know what, GTA, like, it's just been so good at keeping people coming back to keep playing online and staying relevant.
Oh, hell yeah, we're still playing it how long after release?
Exactly,
Also,
and if it was like near enough any other game, all this extra stuff would be DLC, and it'd be like about
money.
it'd probably be like £100 to like get all of it as well.
Money. Yeah, sorry, I completely hijacked you there. Speaking of cool 80s things, I finally watched Stranger Things. It's good. We should chat about it outside of the podcast.
I need to finish off watching that.
I will wait.
Yeah.
Continue.
Games. Still playing The Crew, still enjoying that. It's still free on Uplay, so for the love of God, add it to your list. That. Just add it to your list, like, right now, like, even if you don't download it right now.
After the Skype call, just to be safe.
Yeah.
I should finally be getting fiber installed on October 12th, and then have it available for order by the first week of November.
Oh, they came back to you about that?
Yes, they did. Basically, they're waiting to actually provide power to the cabinet, for which they need the electric company's cooperation. So they've secured... The dates kept slipping with the electric company. They've now secured a date of October 12th with the electric company. And in order to be proactive and not unnecessarily delay this any further than they already have, they're being very smart by doing as much of the work as they can without having power to the cabinet, so that by the time they get the power to the cabinet, there's minimal work left.
Wow, they're actually being clever for once.
Yeah, I know, I was quite amazed. I think I got high enough towards the top of the company in the end. I ended up dealing with someone who knows what they're fucking doing. Either that or they're just so sick of hearing from me at this point, they're like, just give the fuck your internet.
So that's the moral of the story, kids. Just keep complaining enough and you'll get what you want.
If anyone needs tutoring, I do lessons. £20 an hour. Learn to be a dick.
To be fair, all they got to do is listen to us talk on these podcasts and they'll get a free lesson.
Thanks. Nice to hear from you too.
What have you been playing?
Well, I've played a couple of racing games because I made a half-hearted attempt to record some footage on Sunday through, basically I couldn't be asked to bring the consoles upstairs to my PC, because that's a lot of faffing, especially because I need to record from like at least 4 different consoles for the top 10 racing games. And at the same time, I could not be asked to take my PC down to the consoles. So we have a shitty laptop, and we know it's a shitty laptop. It's just a cheap thing that we bought for my other half to browse the internet on. Sort of a, you're not touching my PC. As much as I love her, she's not touching my PC. If she wants to fuck something up, she can fuck the laptop up. Because that thing's shit to begin with, right? So I thought, well, surely that's got to be capable of playing ball with my Elgato and just recording some damn footage. Because the Elgato, as far as I understood, did the majority of the heavy lifting. Nope. It does not play with the Elgato.
And that was through the Elgato Game Capture HD software as well as OBS?
Yeah, tried both.
Shit.
Tried bringing it down from 1080p30 to 720p30. Then I tried it through a standard definition console. I tried it with the Sega Saturn. And that was flickering.
Yeesh.
That was frame stuttering and all sorts of problems with that. So the laptop is more of a piece of shit than I realized. And at that point, I was like, I either need to bring the PC down or take the consoles up. Could not be asked.
What did you do with your last PC?
My old PC, farmed it for parts, like, you know, the hard drive that was in there I wiped and reused. And Yeah, I think the shell of it is in the corner of this room somewhere. But I think it's just got like the motherboard and the power supply in it at this point.
What? No CPU, no graphics card, no hard drive, no nothing.
There's a graphics card in there.
Hmm.
That's in there, yeah. Um, I think at this point the graphics card is antiquated and useless to fucking everybody.
No, what I was going to say is if it was still, because I remember when you had problems with that, it was just software issues that a complete wipe of the system and a new installation of Windows would have sorted. So I was going to say, if you did that, use that as like a media PC on your TV, and you could also use that as a capture device.
Maybe. Um, I'll look into it. Either way, I'm probably gonna have to, during the evenings this week, because this video is supposed to be up by fucking Monday, and the likelihood of that happening is getting further and further away unless I get my arse in gear, which I do intend to do. I do intend to get my arse in gear and get it done.
Yeah, I mean, I've been doing mine collaboratively, but I might end up finishing it on my own because of conflicting schedules and stuff.
Oh yeah, you brought in Pete and Alex, didn't you?
Yeah, and Adam, because I figured.
Oh, and
well,
Adam. I always forget Adam.
bless him.
Sorry, it's not intentional. But it's because you guys go by TAP,
Yeah.
which I hear in my head as Terry, Alex, Pete. It's not Tapper. There's no extra A on the end, so I always forget Adam.
No, although when Peter set us up a GTA crew, he did set up a TAAP, like emblem thing.
Okay. If I officially joined you guys, we could be tapas, as in the food. Terry, Alex, Pete, Adam, Sam, tapas. Yeah, that would work. And then if we had another S person, it could be tap ass, as in tap that ass. We were talking about games I was playing, so
Yeah.
I figured, fuck it, I've got the consoles and the racing games out, so I'll at least play a couple of them and make sure my opinions of them are still valid. And yeah, that didn't last very long, and I started playing more Dead Rising, which leads us nicely into the Dead Rising remaster mini review that I wanted to do. So, fuck me, where to begin on this? So, it's been a very long time since I last played this game. The last time I played it was 2011, where I did a Let's Play where I went for Transmissionary and Saint achievements and missed fucking both. And I missed them by like a hair. It was so fucking close. But that was recorded on a potato. I was using a Dazzle DVC 100, which could only capture standard definition input, and I didn't have this lovely microphone that I have now. Anyway, as everybody knows the story, I traded in my Xbox 360 for a PS3 after Microsoft pissed me off. Bastards. And Dead Rising was probably the only exclusive that I really, really missed. Like, that game was, complete it sort of twice a year sort of deal. And it was a well that I just kept going back to. Dead Rising 2, not so much. Dead Rising 2 off the record, even fucking less. Dead Rising 3, I didn't even own until very recently when I picked up the PC version. And that was only because the Dead Rising 1 remaster got announced that I picked up Dead Rising 3 on PC. So it's lovely to be back in Willamette, where the game takes place. It's lovely to have Frank back. He's one hell of a character. He's a cocky, arrogant bastard. But he's hilarious, and he's got everybody's best interests at heart, and really he does have a heart of gold. He does all the right things for everybody. At least if you go for a Saint playthrough.
Yeah.
It runs the old version. Naturally, HD wasn't a standard when the old version came out. So there were a lot of problems, like people on an SD TV not being able to read the fucking subtitles. And, just various bits and pieces. I think the max it supported, and I could be wrong on this, I'm sure Nort Mugen will tell me, but I think the maximum it supported was 720p 30. And in fact, I read somewhere that Dead Rising 2 on the PlayStation 3 is even worse in terms of resolution. Apparently, that one runs at something like 1026 by 5 something. It's like a really fucking weird aspect rate, really fucking weird resolution.
Yeah.
Aspect ratio is still 16:9, but it's like 1026 by 576 or something stupid.
Well, I mean, probably like 640 or something. Like last gen, there are a lot of games that didn't even get up to about 720p. The consoles were, well, for the time they weren't underpowered, but comparatively speaking,
I'm talking specifically the PlayStation 3 version because that's the version I have of Dead Rising 2.
But I mean, just like in last gen games in general, like it was very rare that you get an actual 1080p game or even 720p game.
Either way, like Dead Rising 2 on the PlayStation 3, that's supposed to be locked at 30, and you know how I don't care about frame rates? And how everybody hates me for not caring about frame rates? I noticed the frame rates plunge into a spiraling freefall in Dead Rising 2 on the PS3.
Yeah.
It's bad when I'm noticing it, you know?
Hey, frame rates equals responsiveness, and bad responsiveness equals a bad game.
Not only that, but like, when people talk about screen tearing and shit, and they show off these videos and examples and screenshots of, look how bad the tearing is here, oh my god, what kind of VSync are they using? I'm usually like, I fucking blinked and I missed that. What? Seriously. Fucking seriously. But Dead Rising 2 PS3, it's like, you will notice the stutter. You know?
Yeah, I've noticed the difference between that and the 360 version since I picked up the PS3 version of Dead Rising 2 a couple of weeks back for like £2.50, but...
Oh yeah, you did, I forgot. Hey, we can do the co-op trophies.
I was going to say, it runs like ass. I'm tempted to just get rid and get the PC version.
Ah, fuck. Before you get rid, can we do the co-op trophies?
Maybe. To be fair, actually, it's probably not even worth getting rid if it's worth like £2.50 in a shop when it's being bought.
True. So to come back to Dead Rising 1 remaster, it's digital only in the UK. Japan got a physical release, America got a physical release, we got digital, and that's a fucking lot. And the digital one is actually the exact same price as the physical one in all other territories. I was like, fuck that, this is a game I love, I want a box and a disc. I'm not going to say manual, because you don't get a manual these days.
Yeah, true. I take that was confirmed to be the case with this as well.
Oh, and I was so fucking disappointed.
Yeah, I know. Capcom used to do good manuals as well, didn't they?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Well, I just remember things like Pokemon, getting the trainer's guide. You know? Anyway, so I imported it, US copy, it came, so I was about a week or so late to the party because I had to wait for that to arrive. And yeah, it runs, it's 1080p 60. It is, well, as far as I can tell, and bear in mind it's my eyes, I don't notice frame dips, but it's fucking smooth. Like, I know I rage about 720p 30 is fine for me, it's adequate, but that doesn't mean that I don't recognize that 1080p 60 is objectively better. It's better. You know, there's no two ways about it. Dead Rising has never felt so damn good to play. Fan-fucking-tastic. One downside to the resolution upgrade is that they didn't update the textures. So you've got textures from an early 2006, like near the launch of the Xbox 360, when HD and everything is still new. Some of the textures, they were sort of passable in the original release because a lot of people were either playing it in SD anyway, or even if they had it in HD, it capped out at about 720, if that. So you couldn't really tell.
I mean, the 360 upscaled to 1080p of like every game, but it was still just upscaling. It's not the same.
Yeah, the base resolution is still what it is. But the problem is now that it's proper 1080p, and they haven't bothered updating these textures, you can really clearly see how low quality a lot of textures in the game are. Like, you can see the JPEG artifacting, and I think the best example of it is the notice board in the security room. And it's right under the save point. There's a save point on a bench in the security room, and this notice board is directly above it. And when you save, Frank lays down to sleep on this couch, and the camera sort of pans in a bit, so you get a proper close-up of this notice board, and it looks fucking awful. You sort of think, well, could you not have gone the extra step and just cleaned some of this shit up? You know?
Yeah, exactly.
They've left the game intact. Bugs, exploits, and all. The only bug that they fixed was if you're playing something called infinite mode, if it's basically 14 hours straight, you cannot save, you cannot... well, now that on the PS4 version, you can now suspend the game by going to the PlayStation 4's menu, but I believe that didn't work in the Xbox 360 version. So it's a 14-hour straight gauntlet mode, and if you, with two real-time hours being one in-game day, more or less. So to get the 7-day survivor achievement or trophy, you have to play for 14 fucking hours straight. Now, I love Dead Rising, one of my favorite games, easily. I'm not even going to fucking attempt that. This is... No. I've got a wife and kids and a job. Yeah, I don't have 14 hours straight. Not only that, but this game has crashed on me once in the 3 playthroughs I've done of it since getting it.
Oh.
Yeah, so and it was like what was it? This software has encountered an error or something like that, and the only option was to fucking close it.
I smell some patches.
Yeah, some people are reporting getting that quite frequently across all 3 of the remasters, Dead Rising 2, and Dead Rising Off the Record. I can only speak for Dead Rising because I already have physical PlayStation copies of Dead Rising 2 and Off the Record from last gen, so not particularly fussed. I was just filling in a gap that I'd really hoped would get filled in one day. No sex jokes. Yeah, thanks. So, where was I going with that? So I can't talk for Dead Rising 2 and Off the Record's performance, but considering each playthrough has been between 6 and 8 hours, depending on whether you do overtime mode or not, 3 playthroughs back to back is, at the bare minimum, 18 hours. It's crashed once in 18 hours of gameplay. It's not too bad. I've no idea what even fucking caused it. So no, it's been a very enjoyable experience. I'm torn on a couple of things. Like the actual thing they fixed, which was where I was going. So if you go into the food court on day 4 of Infinite Mode, the game would just freeze on the Xbox 360. No rhyme or reason. They fixed that. You can now go in. That was like game breaking. So you can now go into the food court on day 4 and be fine, apparently.
Huh.
There's a number of things they didn't change. The Survivor AI being one of them. And I'm sort of torn because, on the one hand, it's really fucking annoying and really bad AI. And for one particular set of survivors, I had to resort to save scumming to actually get them back to the security room. I reloaded the same save about 6 times.
Oh.
I don't know how familiar you are with the game, but on the second night, there's 3 people that spawn in the gun shop in North Plaza. One of them has a shotgun, one of them has a machine gun, and one of them has a handgun. It's Jonathan has the shotgun, Brett has the machine gun, and Alyssa has the handgun. Okay? Now, I'm sure there are different settings for the various survivors, because a lot of survivors will just try to go around zombies or try to avoid them, and they all exhibit different behaviors. Like, some of them are more timid, some you have to carry because they're injured, some you have to hold their hand and guide them through because they're slow as fuzz. Some of them, if you get too far away from them, they freak out. These guys seem to be hyper-aggressive. Like, they see a big... And on night 2, it's after 7 p.m, so you've already got the red-eye zombies, which are a more powerful enemy, far more deadly. And they are packed shoulder to shoulder in the area immediately before the warehouse and security room, where you've got to get these guys to safety. It's a long old trek. It's one of the furthest physical distances that you have to take survivors in the whole game. So they get to Paradise Plaza, the last stretch, and they just run gung-ho into these huge swarms of zombies going, I'm a twat around the face with my shotgun! And then they die. It's infuriating. At one point, one of them died 2 feet away from the door I needed to get them to.
Oof.
I swore a lot. The way I had to do it in the end was I set a waypoint in a shop, and then I picked up a bench and dropped it in front of the door to the shop, because the pathfinding in the game sucks. So when they then tried to exit the shop, they would just constantly run into this bench and not realize that they couldn't go around it.
Nice.
So while they were in there, I sort of killed all the zombies nearby, moved the bench so they could come out, directed them into the next shop along, and blocked them in there. And then killed the next set of zombies, and I just had to do that incrementally. So Survivor AI, I'm like, on the one side, if they fixed it, it wouldn't be the authentic Dead Rising experience. On the other hand, the fact that they haven't fixed it is really fucking frustrating, because the AI is really that bad. So what I am glad of is they've not fixed any of the other things that you can manipulate and exploit. So, you know, I know my route in my head. Like, I come out of the warehouse, I turn right, I go up the stairs towards Colombian Roastmasters, I stop halfway, I turn around, I jump on the blue awning, I run across that, break the box that's on the ledge above the warehouse entrance, get the submachine gun, run back along the awnings, back onto the stairs, into Colombian Roastmasters. I grab the infinitely spawning orange juice. I combine that orange juice and orange juice to make nectar, which will spawn a queen, and you can use a queen to kill a huge crowd of zombies at once, which is great if you're herding survivors. If you combine the orange juice with the nearby pie, you'll get a juice that's called Untouchable, and that means that zombies can't grab you while you're running through them, which is obviously really, really useful. So once I've topped up on, you know, the health items I want, I go across to Sport Trance opposite and I grab a skateboard, because that's great for going across Leisure Park. Back to Colombian Roastmasters, hop over the railing there and you land on an orange awning with a katana. Pick up the katana, great melee weapon, drop down into the pool below, smash the window, there are 2 books in there you want, Entertainment and Engineering, so you grab those 2. You head across, eventually you'll head across to Wonder Plaza anyway. While you're in Wonder Plaza, there's a bookshop where you find 2 survivors called Yu and Shinji. In the back right-hand corner is a criminology book, grab that. Go to the Space Coaster ride and inspect the controls once you've had the scoop from Otis about the coaster being out of control. That will spawn the psycho called Adam. Use the submachine gun and the katana to kill him quick, because he will fucking murder you. And he will drop what's called the small chainsaw. Now, the small chainsaw is the second best melee weapon in the game, and all items in the game have durability, so you can use it for a set amount of time and then the weapon breaks and you have to go find another one. The small chainsaw is affected by all 3 of the books that you picked up. So the first book triples the durability, right? Well, each book triples the durability, but they stack. So instead of it just being the base times 3 plus the base times 3 plus the base times 3, it's the base times 3 times 3 times 3. So you get 27 times the amount of uses out of the second best melee weapon in the game. Jeez. That's fucking ridiculously broken. And then if you, immediately after doing that, stop the roller coaster, and there's a survivor gets off the roller coaster who will show you a shortcut that if you're going for a perfect run, you have to use that fucking shortcut between Wonderland Plaza and Paradise Plaza. And the great thing is, when you stop the roller coaster to save him, it plays a cutscene. And because the cutscene plays, the room you're in resets, which means another small chainsaw spawns. So you've got 2 of them. And that will last you the entire campaign plus overtime mode easily. So it's like, shit like that is still there. You know, I can still go do all that. I would highly recommend to anyone doing a playthrough, This game is made so that you will not get to the end on level 1 the first time through. You're just not going to do it. You will die. Unless you're incredibly good, and I've seen some people do runs, you will die. You can't do a perfect run from level 1 as far as I'm concerned. The best thing you can do is to, as soon as you start your first playthrough, head out onto Leisure Park, on the back wall, up from the entrance to the food court, sort of in between there and the entrance to North Plaza, there's a little sort of archway you can go through, and that leads to a car park where there's a red sports car. Jump in that, drive into the maintenance tunnel, which is chock full of thousands of zombies. If you go in, go down the ramp, turn left, then turn left again, and keep driving up and down that road. At the top end is a van, so you keep killing zombies until the car dies. Then you hop in the van, drive back up the ramp to the car park, and the red sports car is respawned, and you just repeat it. So you do that until you get 53,000. I'm going to get the number wrong, and Nort Mugen's going to correct me. 53,596, which I believe is the exact same population as the town of Willamette, to get the Zombie Genocider trophy. Once you've done that, go to the heliport and wait until 12 midday on the third day. This step is extremely important. If you get Zombie Genocider and then you do not finish your playthrough or get an ending, you will not unlock the reward. You have to get an ending. So go to the heliport and wait until midday on the third day. Also, waiting there for that long will unlock the Outdoorsman trophy for being outside consistently for 24 hours or more. So that's really handy. Once you've done that and you've seen the ending, you will get the real Mega Buster, which is, without a doubt, the most powerful projectile weapon in the game. It can kill even the toughest bosses in about 4 hits. It's fucking broken as shit. And also, from doing the zombies back and forth, you will be somewhere between levels 25 and 30, give or take. And the max level in the game is 50, so at that point you can then go for your perfect run playthrough. And the perfect run playthrough is, by the end of it, including overtime mode, you will have 51 survivors, because survivors in this game is kind of weird. If you do the best ending, then there are certain characters who die as part of the story who would otherwise survive. But I went for so many, years ago when I had it on 360, I tried a number of times for the perfect run through where I got the Saint trophy for saving more than 50 survivors, and the Transmissionary trophy, which is a pain in the ass for answering all of the calls you get over your walkie-talkie, which I'm not going to go into why that's a pain in the ass. Anyone who's played the game will fucking know. And getting the best ending while doing it all. And I don't know how, but I managed it. I did a perfect run. I got every single survivor possible. Well, every single survivor possible. I got every survivor. I got all of the psychopaths. I killed all of those, because those are boss fights littered throughout the game. Many of them are optional. Got all of those, got everybody's fucking photo, which can be tricky to do, especially the psychopaths, because you're trying to take their photo while they're trying to kill you. Fucking hard. Hitting the maximum level. Everything you could possibly do, I did. So it was best ending, every survivor, every psychopath. And, there was a long time where I knew people had done it, but I considered it to be impossible. And the feeling of satisfaction was immeasurable. This is a game that will kick your fucking ass, and it will punish you, and it demands a lot of you. But when you beat it and you master it, it feels so fucking good. It's a game that I highly, highly recommend to everybody, knowing full well that it will probably only stick or do something special for maybe 5% of the people that I put it out to, because it's clunky, because it's unclear, because at times it feels fucking unfair, because it requires the multiple iterations and the multiple playthroughs and learning from your mistakes. But it makes the discoveries all the better, and I apologize for ruining some of those discoveries with my little roadmap earlier. But I think I've rambled enough. Safe to say, I fucking love this game. This remaster is the best version of the game that I have ever played. Just fucking go get this thing. I'm not too fussed about Dead Rising 2 and Dead Rising 2 off the record. Fucking get Dead Rising 1.
And if you want to see Sam do a Let's Play that's not recorded on Potato, leave a comment.
Yeah, Terry's trying to get me to repeat that hellish perfect run, but record it this time. I'm just like, for fuck's sake, it was hard enough the first time. I genuinely don't know if I can repeat that. I'd probably have to save scum like a motherfucker to repeat that. Because what I'll have against me this time... Last time, I was getting level ups as I went. I went from level 31 to level 50 during that playthrough. And every time you level up, it refills your health. And there were a couple of occasions where I was down to like 2 bars of health. The nearest place to top my health up was fucking ages away. And it was purely the fact that defeating the psychopath or getting the survivor to join my crew or what have you pushed me over the level up cap that my health got refilled. So I won't have that helping me out this time. If anything, it's going to make it harder. But yeah, it's one of those things. I really want to do it, but at the same time, I really fucking don't.
I get you.
Yeah. So, I mean, I've talked a lot, and I'm really sorry, because this is supposed to be a two-man podcast. Have you had any experience with the series? I know you mentioned you bought Dead Rising 2 recently.
Yeah, I mean, I had both of them on the 360 ages ago, and I never really got that into them, but then... I don't know, when I was introduced to them, by that point I was already halfway through like 4 games and with a shit ton of a backlog to get through, so I just didn't give them much attention. So it didn't get you
proper attention.
Yeah, I think if I'd have gotten Dead Rising like earlier in the 360's lifespan when there was fuck all out for it, apart from that.
True, when I was introduced to it, it was pretty much the only thing to play on the fucking thing.
Exactly, I mean, we didn't even have Halo 3 for it yet. True.
There's a reason everybody who bought a 360 at launch has all of the achievements for King Kong. It's like one of 3 games.
Oh, God.
Oh, and Hitman. Everyone's maxed out Hitman.
Yeah. But, I don't know, I might get it on Steam at some point, but it's just like I've got like hundreds of games that I've still not finished.
Okay, so from what you've played of Dead Rising 2 and the limited amount of what you played of Dead Rising 1, plus my glowing recommendation and absolute fucking obsession with the game, could you see it being your kind of thing?
Probably. It depends. Because basically there's always this barrier with getting into a game where like you're sort of playing it for a while, then you're just kind of trying to get into it, and then eventually you get to a point where you're into it kind of thing. And it's just sort of getting past that barrier.
You think you'd have to sort of keep going and going and going until it clicked?
Pretty much, yeah. Like
it's actually quite apt for that game.
Yeah. I mean, I think the same could be said for BioShock as well, because, I mean, a lot of people, yourself included, have just not been able to get into it.
No, I've tried so many times as well.
Yeah. Whereas, like, for me, I freaking loved BioShock 1 and BioShock Infinite, but so many people have just sort of not really got it.
But yeah, my memories of the first game, when I first had it on Xbox 360, is that there was a lot of frustration and anger, but then I was like, oh, hey, that's kind of cool. I can use that when I found little things here and there. Because, you know, we had the internet, but it wasn't exactly as comprehensive as it is now. And it's definitely one of those games, a lot of frustration, a lot of anger, and then suddenly everything just clicks. And you get into a groove with it, and you're like, yeah, I know what I'm doing.
Yeah, that's exactly it.
Yeah?
Yeah, to be honest, I'd probably say the same about Half-Life, actually.
I think the problem is, I think it's just one of those games where a lot of people never reach that point.
Yeah, that was the problem for me, and I must have owned Dead Rising about 3 times as well.
Fucking hell.
Yeah, and two of those times I had the steelbook version as well.
There was a That's Entertainment in Swindon Town Centre. They were selling steelbook copies for about 49p at one point. Yeah, I know. Um,
Damn.
Criminally overlooked game, really is. This is
Hmm.
fan fucking. For some reason, the sequels, which aren't as good in my opinion, the sequels get more attention than the original. It's like, for fuck's sake.
Yeah, but then I guess they got more exposure because they're on more platforms. Well,
Not only
they
that,
were.
but they're friendlier. So, I started a new playthrough of Dead Rising 2 on a new save file on the PlayStation 3 because I didn't have my Xbox 360 save anymore for obvious reasons.
Hmm.
And obviously the saves are non-transferable between consoles anyway. And I was like, I'm gonna fucking die, but I want to see how far I can get if I'm playing from level 1 and trying to do everything. And so far, I have done everything. The time limit hasn't been anywhere near an issue because these games have a constant time limit. You're up against it all the time. And if it runs out, then you can get into a point where you cannot complete the main story. And like survivors are only around for so long before they die and shit like that. So you have to be quick and you have to plan your routes. Dead Rising 2, do not remember it anywhere near as well as the first game. Playing from level 1, and so far I've done everything, and I've not died yet. In fact, I'm on like level 20 something now through the level ups, and I'm starting to think that it might be possible for me to do a near perfect level 1 playthrough on that game, which is kind of disappointing because it proves how much friendlier they made it and how much they watered it down. And I know that appeals to far more people, but I kind of liked the first one in a time where everything was holding your fucking hand, bitch slapped you around the face and went, no, you get fucking good. I would probably like Dark Souls if I could get into it for the same reason, but yeah, just can't for some reason.
Yeah, I mean, Bioshock, it's a weird thing because it kind of holds your hand in some ways, but in other ways, it's just like, no, fuck you. It's a weird sort of hybrid, but
Like I said, I always get bored at the same point. As soon as you get that fucking camera, man, I'm done. I don't know what it is about that point in the game. I should look into it at one point. Maybe write a nice article out of it. But I get that camera, I'm like, yeah, I'm done.
yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
But yeah, coincidentally, that had a remaster recently as well, and
Oh yes, the Bioshock collection, and that's had problems, hasn't it?
sort of. I can't really speak for console owners, but people on PC, they got it for free if they already had the original version on Steam. So there was Bioshock 1 and 2, they got remastered on PC. Well, I say remaster in air quotes. And Bioshock Infinite, they just left it the same because they figured it was already good enough. So the PS4
Yeah.
and Xbox One versions are basically built off the PC version, essentially.
PC Master Race. However, it's not all well and good on Steam. There's one publisher who's no longer even fucking there. Digital Homicide has had all of their games pulled from Steam after their attempt to try and sue over 100 Steam users. So this is quite interesting. Basically, they tried to subpoena Valve to learn the identities of users who formed a group originally called Digital Homicides Poop Games, which is now renamed to just Digital Homicides. So they were a sort of a consumer advocacy group who were pointing out, shitty, underhanded, rushed asset flip games, of which all of Digital Homicide's titles are accused of being. I mean, I've not played any Digital Homicide games, but from the coverage, it certainly does not look good.
Yeah.
They don't the games I would want to play. I'm being
Yeah.
careful so they don't sue us as well. They're
Well,
already suing Jim Sterling and a bunch of Steam users.
were they like Steam curators, this group?
Not entirely sure how it works, to be honest. Steam is not something I pay anywhere near as much attention to as I should. They're a group of some description. I think they're a curator group because they're one of those who, you get like Steam groups that will recommend games that are 30 FPS or lower, so that their badge or their emblem shows on the game's store
Oh,
page
the
as sort
30
of like a
FPS
badge of
release.
shame.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's along those lines. I'm not
Oh,
100%.
right. Yeah, that's a Steam curator, basically.
Okay. By all means, Nort Mugen, let us know. So I don't mean to pick on him. I don't, or her. Could be her. I do actually find the extra information quite useful.
Yeah, no, agreed.
Yeah.
But
So anyway, they were basically, pulling them up on what they perceived to be their bullshit, and see what they perceived to be. Just picking my words, fighting my battles.
to be fair, like, I'm just gonna say, if they want to sue me for fucking what? I'm fucking poor.
We'll take your dog. Technically not my dog.
Yeah.
Good luck. Fucking hell. I have
Jesus.
stuff, and I would rather keep the stuff.
Yeah, because all of their lawsuits have been so successful. Do you remember when they tried to crowdfund it?
They tried to crowdfund their lawsuit against Jim Sterling.
And people
Were donating money and then doing chargebacks on the credit cards, which actually cost Digital Homicide money.
Yes.
Fucking hell.
God bless the internet.
So anyway, Valve's response to a publisher wanting to take legal action against such a large amount of its users was to basically sever ties with Digital Homicide and say, right, we don't want your games on our service anymore. And Valve are completely within their fucking right to do that. What you've got to remember is it's Valve's system. You're going essentially into someone else's house. You obey their fucking rules. I think I said this before in terms of when fan art got banned at MCMs and people were still taking fan art anyway.
Yeah.
Like, we have a rule in this house, and it might seem like a silly rule to some, but shoes off at the door, right? So what Digital Homicide are basically doing, it's like not even coming in with your shoes still on. It's like coming in with your shoes on after you've just walked through a bunch of mud and dog shit. You know?
Yeah. Well, I do find it funny that Valve are actually finally doing something, like, in favour of its user base with this whole bloody thing, because, like, basically...
Valve are usually very hands-off. They're usually just like, we'll just fucking let this develop and run its course and do what it's going to do, which can actually be quite harmful in some instances, because it allows things to escalate and sometimes spiral out of control. Granted, it's on the rare occasion, but I do think they could have taken some more ownership in this, taken some more preventative measures to actually lock it down and prevent it getting to this point.
I really think they need to overhaul the whole green light system, because I think at the moment it's just exploitative as fuck. It's ridiculous. And on top of that as well, I think the facts, last I checked, so they might have changed since then. Nort Mugen, I'm looking for you for info.
Who's our info broker?
So, basically, if a publisher doesn't like your review, they can just delete it. They on their game's Steam store page.
What the fuck?
Yeah.
I know. I got annoyed with to try and stop. There are basically some of them who artificially inflate their scores by using giveaways.
Yeah.
So give you a free key in favor for a favorable review and that kind of shady shit. So they said anyone who did not buy the game directly through Steam, anyone who acted with an external key, their reviews wouldn't count. Now, I buy physical copies of games because of my shitty internet. For example, Dead Rising 3, I bought a physical copy so I could install the 26 gig from the disc instead of letting it download for fucking 36 hours or however long it was going to take.
Yeah.
So apparently, if I want to review Dead Rising 3, I don't count. Additionally, like over half my Steam list is shit I got from Humble Bundles. That's all activated with external keys. So again, on those games, my opinion doesn't fucking count. Now, I did hear, and correct me on this because you keep more up to date with Steam than I do, that they've since reversed that decision, or or sort of changed their minds on how that works after Backlash. Is that
Well,
accurate?
I'm looking at Steam at the moment, and there's different subcategories for reviews. So you've got it separated by positive, negative, Steam purchases, key activations, and languages as well. So they're showing there, but they're separated.
Oh, so now you're just in a different pool?
Basically, yeah.
That fucking sucks. So I don't like that either. I don't. You know, it's sort of this. If you bought it directly through Steam, you're a first-class citizen. Otherwise, fuck you.
What they should do though with the keys that come in like retail cases is sort of have it detected as a sort of within a Steam purchase category, you know, as opposed to
I don't know if they would have a way of
giveaway key.
I'm assuming, and there's that word, assuming. All right, Norm Hugan, did you hear assuming? You heard assuming. Great. I'm assuming that Steam keys run on an algorithm, because otherwise they'd have to store hundreds and thousands of keys. And I'm assuming that each game only has one algorithm to match to. Therefore, I am assuming that they have no way to differentiate between keys purchased from websites and keys provided in game cases. But that is an assumption on which I could be wrong.
Yeah, I think there must be a way to differentiate because, I mean, like, you can get bundle keys, for instance. Like, if you buy games on Humble Bundle, sometimes it'll just have individual keys per game, and sometimes it'll give you one single key for, like, a bundle of about 3 or 4 games that specifically says, when you activate on Steam, Humble Indie Bundle number whatever.
I think the way they get around that is they set up a new product for the bundle.
Well, then all they got to do is just set up 2 products for, like, the individual game.
Right, so then if someone's bought a game on disc, if there are 2 separate products set up, what's stopping them rebuying the same game digitally and paying again?
Wait, what?
Right, so if they set up 2 products for the same game, A, what's stopping them buying a game on disc and then accidentally repurchasing it or having it gifted to them digitally? And B, let's say you want to see what games your friends have or compare, you know, Steam achievements or whatever. If it's 2 product codes, will it be detected as 2 different games?
Well, then all they got to do is just do the same thing that they do with the Humble Indie bundle codes, though. Because it still detects the games as the same game when you're doing the comparisons, and it'll still show that game as being previously purchased.
Yes, but I think when they do the Humble bundles, it's the bundle itself is the product, and the product includes the games.
Yeah, so all they got to do is just do a separate bundle product, but that just has one game.
A bundle with a single title.
Yeah, but obviously they wouldn't call it a bundle.
That sounds unnecessarily messy.
Not particularly. I mean, it's simple enough when they do it for Humble Bundle.
I like it in that it uses the system for something other than what it was intended for. That's innovative. I like the thinking, don't get me wrong. Yeah. We don't know. We're not gatekeepers of Steam. We don't know how the background works.
Yeah. Either way, at the moment, it's a broken system. And the problem as well is because there's so much shit on there. That means that anyone who releases something good on there, it's probably going to get overlooked as a result.
You see, I see that differently. What I see is when you've got lots and lots of shit, the good stuff really stands out. It's
not always. I think they're the exceptions to the rule.
I'm going to get in trouble for saying this. It's the same reason that women go to nightclubs with their fat friend. It's exactly the fucking same. You look much, much better next to the fat friend than you do on your own.
But even you yourself have said, though, that there's so many quirky, original, innovative games that have gotten overlooked over the years.
You see, again, I see it different. I see Steam Green as being like the one moderately attractive girl in a club full of unattractive women. So the one moderately attractive girl is going to stand out. Granted, in that sea of unattractive, she may be hard to find. And bear in mind that if you are looking for a life partner, beauty is only skin deep, and it's also in the eye of the beholder. And what's attractive to me may not be attractive to you, and vice versa. Personality is really important. But you know what I mean. It's like it's they're diamonds in the rough. So I think that when you do find a decent game that's done it right, it's going to be appreciated that much more because of the slew of shit that it's surrounded by.
See, I see it differently. I see it like when you get the amount of dodgy Kickstarters that have run, and it's a surprise when someone's not being dodgy on Kickstarter.
So I'm a surprise.
I guess. I don't know. Well, I mean,
what we're saying?
Well, the other day you pointed out a statistic to me that only about 35% of Kickstarters actually fulfill their promises or something along those lines. You were saying?
No, I believe the statistic is 64% of successful Kickstarters deliver what they set out to do.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
and
you
there's
think
also
that's
stuff like when you see, and we've talked about a couple of examples of this recently. I'm not going to list them here or talk about them here.
yeah.
But when someone backs their own project with a significant amount, for example, someone puts $1,000 of their own money into their Kickstarter, there's a lot of shady stuff that goes on. I've had friends who got in trouble because essentially that it's been long enough. If I talk about it, they're gonna know I'm talking about them, but no one else is gonna know who I'm referring to. And I think we're cool enough that they will be cool. So, friend A, I'm trusting you to be cool. Remember when Ouya were doing that thing where if you got funded over a certain amount on Kickstarter, they would match it?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So they're coming up to the end of their campaign. They're short from their goal. And obviously they know about the Ouya matching. So friend A's father says, look, I will take you to your goal on the condition that when Ouya gives you the money to match it, you pay me back with that money. And people clocked on that had been done, and people were not happy. There was some backlash, some considerable backlash, and this is why, like, everyone, it's really unfortunate because I've had Kickstarter campaigns where friends and family have backed because they're lovely people and they want to support me, and of course they have. And I can understand people who, they've raised 1790 out of a 1,800 goal. So, they put in the last 10 of themselves just not to let the 1,790 go to waste.
Yeah.
I can get that. When people are putting in 10 to 20% of the Kickstarter money out of their own pocket to either artificially inflate the numbers or to get it to the goal, that's when I have questions, because that's a significant amount. So now you're in this position with Kickstarter where if you see someone with the same surname, or you see the name of someone you know to be affiliated with the creator of the Kickstarter project, you automatically raise an eyebrow, and that's fucking awful, and I hate that. But that's a separate topic.
Yeah, but that kind of plays into what I'm trying to say is, like, because there's so much dodgy activity on Kickstarter, it makes people suspicious of what they back, and that's wrong. And like that, and it's the same thing with Greenlight, because of all this shitty Unity asset flips and all that kind of stuff. People are thinking, well, I'm not really sure. I want to take a risk with this. It's making people, less likely to take a chance on something, and it's because
I can see that
knock-on effect.
And I can see, I even see it in the in games on Kickstarter, like Mighty Number 9, delayed, shit. Yeah,
exactly.
Koji Igarashi's game, the Castlevania follow-up, Bloodlines or something.
Oh, Bloodstained.
Bloodstained, thank you. he announced he's bringing in a new development team and is delaying the game to like 2018 or something.
Oh.
People are flipping their shit. And now people are looking at Shenmue 3. That Kickstarter ran ages ago, and we've barely heard anything.
I still find it absolutely fucking bullshit that game needed a Kickstarter in the first place. It's fucking Sega.
A lot of the time, there are private investors who are interested, but they want to see proof that there's demand for the product first. So they will go to Kickstarter for far less than they need to prove that demand exists, so that then the private investors foot the rest.
Yeah, I still find that absolutely dodgy. I mean, there was market research before Kickstarter was the thing. I don't think Kickstarter is an appropriate platform to do your market research.
I can understand private investors using it as a measure and a security blanket. Bear in mind, Kickstarter wasn't available as a measure for that when we relied on things like market research. And market research didn't always translate to sales. So I think if you want something that's going to prove purchasing intent, that's probably a good way to go. It's just, it is misuse of the system.
Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah, it's misuse, but it is probably quite effective.
Yeah, absolutely. But, like, people are looking at the Shenmue 3 one, like, well, we've not fucking heard anything in ages. What's happening there? I think Yooka-Laylee has done it extremely well. Yooka-Laylee, there's been, playable demos, that little sandbox, toy box thing people could play with. There have been, like, at least once a month, there's been a substantial update sent out to all backers. Promo videos, or even, like, devlogs, just like, this week, this funny shit happened in the studio.
Yeah.
And they're keeping the audience engaged, and they're keeping us in the loop, and they're sharing little in-jokes with us, and that's really cool. You know,
and they're just they're reminding us that, hey, we're still doing this.
Exactly.
This isn't dead.
It's not something that's just going to vanish into thin air. But it does make people cautious. There was a comics Kickstarter recently called Anathema from Rachel Dealing, I think her name is. And basically she had several comics under her belt already, writing credits for, I believe, DC. Quite credible. And she was funding issues 2 to 6. And at first it was like, people were messaging her saying, hey, are we getting single issues or a collected trade now? Because I've heard both. And she's like, yeah, there's not funding for single issues, but I do want to send the trades out. Okay, right, that's cool. Then it got picked up by Titan Publishing. And they put out Volume 1, which I think collects the first 3 issues. People are like, look, I've seen this in stores. What's going on? Oh, it's to do with postage. I want to make sure everyone gets all their rewards in one go. So when the full book is complete, I'll send both trades out in the same package, right? Which is, to me, that's a bit skeevy. That makes these people the first people to pay for the fucking product and the last people to receive it.
Yeah, I'm not on board with that.
Yeah, like Unfamiliar Skies, I printed it and I sent it out. There was a slight delay because ironically, the envelopes that I'd ordered online hadn't arrived. It's a weird thing to wait for envelopes in the post, I tell you.
Yeah.
But that needed cardboard-backed proper envelopes,
Yeah.
I just fucking couldn't get them.
That's the thing. As far as I'm concerned, Kickstarter backers should always get the rewards before anyone else gets the product, unless there's a very good reason.
Well, originally I was meant to pick up the print run on a Monday.
Yeah.
That got pushed back by the printer to a Thursday, which was the Thursday before the convention I was meant to debut it at.
AKA good reason.
Plus, I'd already paid for advertising space in that convention's, booklet, event guide that you get as you go in the door, saying launching this weekend.
Yeah.
So I sent the books out as soon as possible, but I told backers what was going on. And I said to them, if you are going to that convention, and you want to just pick it up, just send me a message and that's fine. Just come pick it up at the show. And there were 40 physical copies I had about 60 backers, about 20 digital, 40 physical. Out of 40 physical, it turned out 10 of them were going to be at that show. So 10 of them picked up in person, and the rest. I think you received your book that Monday, if I remember right, because
Yeah, I did.
yes, people were getting it at the show on Saturday, Sunday. You had yours on Monday. Most people were like messaging me and emailing me like, "Oh, look what arrived in the post with photos and shit." So I think that's okay, but I'm aware that if I don't cover myself on this kind of thing, someone fucking will. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, but no, it's like with the games Kickstarters when reviewers get their copies before Kickstarter backers. Like, I don't agree with that in the slightest.
No, well, I think it's really cool. Ukulele letting early code out. So they said, look, Volume 1's in fucking Barnes and Nobles and shit. When am I getting mine? It's like, and people swallowed the pill of, fine, I'll get both volumes in one, whatever. It's not the best case scenario, but at least I'm getting it, right?
Yeah.
Then it all went quiet. No one knows what's happened to issues 5 and 6. All of this woman's social media platforms have been shut down. No more Facebook, Twitter, anything.
Jesus.
And because she's created a project, she can't delete her Kickstarter account. So she's edited her display name and put deleted in brackets next to her name.
Huh.
So now it reads like Rachel Dealing, then in brackets deleted.
Yeah, because people are blatantly going to fall for that.
And she's just like gone for complete silence and run sort of approach. So
Jeez.
People are right to be wary of these things, and I think it is harder for people like me who do legitimate Kickstarters, which do deliver. Like, literally, that fucking Kickstarter ended in July, and the books went out the end of August. It was a month from thank you for funding it to here is the thing in your hands. And that was because I made sure the bulk of the book, like 17 out of 20 pages, sort of fucking done by the end of the Kickstarter,
Yeah.
Anyway, enough plugging myself.
But
in terms of things that have disappeared recently, there was a Nintendo 64 emulator on the Xbox One App Store for all of about 18 hours or so.
yeah, how did it run? Like, how well? I mean, not, what did it run on? It run on.
Well, I don't have an Xbox One, so I don't know directly, but what I can tell you from second-hand reports is that it was about £7.69. It seems to have been HTML5 based.
Huh.
It was classed as an app, not a game, which makes sense, I guess. And a lot of people have reported poor frame rates and frequent crashing. But the way it got the ROMs in was it linked to your Microsoft OneDrive account.
Oh,
so
right.
Put the ROMs in your OneDrive folder, and then your Xbox One would read from that.
That's pretty clever.
Yeah, it's a nice little workaround.
Yeah.
So yeah, that got taken down pretty fucking quick, but how embarrassing that got through quality assurance and all the other steps required to be released.
Yeah.
Even if only for a very short time.
And apparently it's part of Windows 10's App Store as well, so I'm just wondering how much of this sort of thing is on there.
Maybe they got like the approval for the Windows 10 App Store,
Yeah.
and then they applied to have what they had on Windows 10 App Store mirrored, and that helped them through the approvals process. Maybe it was like expedited.
Yeah, but they actually did it through the Universal Windows Platform thing that they got going, that UWP thing, so that things that can go to Windows 10 can go to Xbox One and vice versa.
You see, I didn't know if maybe it was like one of those things of, oh, we know you guys, it's fine, we'll be a little more lax. Like, the first time I submitted a digital comic to sell on comixology.co.uk, that took a really long time. It was about a 3-month process to get my first comic up there. When I did Unfamiliar Skies, that was about 2 weeks.
Hi.
They just literally took the files and they're like, fucking, yeah, you've had like 4 comics already. This is fucking fine. It's going up for sale. You're good.
Well, if it was someone that built up some trust, then obviously they've lost it now.
No fucking shit.
Yeah. What would have been funny is if it actually ran well. Ironically, the Xbox One would have been able to run more N64 games than the Wii U.
Whee! I'll tell you what is embarrassing. This isn't the first emulator to make it onto the Xbox One.
No, wasn't there a NES one?
Yeah, there was an NES one. And what's quite funny is, because there are a lot of HTML5 emulators now, you can use the Xbox One's web browser to access online HTML5 based emulators and play web-based emulators in the Xbox One's web browser.
Damn. And the thing is, they probably run pretty well as well.
Yeah, I don't doubt it at all.
Your PS4
Obviously,
could probably do
neither
the
of us
same.
have the hardware because Xbox One, skanky. Yeah.
Your PS4 could probably do the same.
Probably. I mean, I'm using my PS4 for anime now. So we're both watching Dragon Ball Super, and look, when there's an official English release, I will support it, but I don't have an option right now, and I'll be damned if this fucker is learning what happens before I do.
Except, hey, did you catch up?
Yeah, I caught up. We talked about it.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
We talked about episode 59 yesterday.
Yeah, and I missed the preview, which X and Y happens.
Yes.
Yeah.
That. Anyway, the video player, it's the website's video player that we use for that works on the PlayStation 4's browser. So I'm just watching Dragon Ball Super on my big screen TV in my living room through the PS4.
Fair play. I was doing that with the Wii U's browser for a little while, but it started getting this glitch on online videos where it just like skip ahead a few seconds, like every few minutes. It was really weird.
Oh, that's fucking weird.
I know, it's a shame because I used to use that for watching Raw and SmackDown because, frankly, they're not putting those on the WWE network, and I'm not going to spend like £50 a month to get Sky Sports.
Also, just as an update, the Abbott Ale is long gone, but that old golden hen, not bad. Not as good as old speckled hen. Still prefer old speckled hen, but old golden hen is okay.
You old men in your ales.
I'm trying a lot more new ales, because what I realise is that I keep to my same 4 ales that I know and are safe, like the Wadworth Six Sex, Adnam's Broadside, Hobgoblin, I just keep sticking to the same ones. It's like, nah, let's try a few more, expand my horizons. So like each week now we come home with, we do the food shop and we come home with like 4 new ales I haven't tried yet.
See, I've never had a regular ale. Like, the only times when I'd have ale is if I'm in a sort of, quiet pub for just like a quiet social evening, as opposed to like, go out, get wrecked kind of thing. And
ale is not a get wrecked drink.
No, it really isn't. And
Get the Sambuca! Oh, and don't forget fucking Terry's ale.
And generally, I'll just try whatever I think looks interesting, apart from if it's a bitter, because I just don't like bitter.
Oh. How can you... Then again, I'm not a big fan of pale ales, so...
Yeah.
To each their own.
Yeah, exactly. No, I just can't get on with bitter. I prefer a sort of lighter one.
Fair enough. So yeah, N64 emulator. That lasted.
Yeah. I'm just
amazed that for a glorious moment it was there.
Yeah, the thing is, if only they could get Dolphin on there, because that would actually probably run okay.
You think? Because people are, commenting and posting around like Eurogamer and stuff, saying that they're surprised at how much an Xbox One struggled to run an N64 emulator.
I think that has more to do with how the emulator was coded more than the capabilities of the Xbox One. I mean, my laptop is...
Oh, shoddily put together.
Yeah, like my laptop can run Dolphin.
Right, okay, yeah, fine, fair enough. Your laptop's crap.
Well,
mine's worse, but yours is crap.
Well, it's not crap. It's, it's what you'd expect for a laptop.
Which is crap. I expect all laptops to be crap.
It's actually alright. I mean, I managed to run Sonic and All-Stars Racing Transformed on it at like 720p30.
Fucking hell.
On like medium.
I've just realised we're like an hour 20 in nearly, and we haven't gotten to the big debate topic, which is the main topic. So... Reproductions. Just to fill everybody in before we begin, a reproduction is a game that's, out of print or otherwise no longer available new. Sometimes even games that were never publicly released, where someone has started manufacturing cartridges again.
Yeah, although there have been counterfeits of games that are still in production, like getting
Every
made.
Pokemon game.
Yeah, all the Final Fantasy Advance games, I learned that the hard way, like back before I was aware of these.
Fucking hell.
Yeah,
Well,
because at the time I was thinking, no way, they're gonna reproduce a cartridge. They bloody did.
a lot of the time they use something called a donor cart. So they will take a cartridge that you can find for like 50p to a pound.
FIFA.
Yeah, your FIFAs. And they will basically use hardware to rewrite the ROM on that cartridge.
Mm.
And they'll stick a new label on, and bam, you've got yourself a repro. Some people actually are able to produce the chips, and some people either 3D print or cast from a mold new cartridge shells. So sometimes it's really obvious to tell. I've got, from a job lot actually, I've got a fake Mega Man Battle Network 2 on the Game Boy Advance, and it's very obviously a fake. It's the actual sticker quality is entirely different. It's the paper is too thick, it's too shiny, the colors are too saturated. It's got like the UK serial number, which isn't, that should always be like punched down a bit, like that should be indented.
Yeah.
Whereas this is just like printed straight on.
Hmm.
But then it's got the US Nintendo seal of approval instead of the UK one. So you know how one's an oval and one's a perfect circle.
Yeah.
So it's got the wrong one.
Nice.
And then it's got a US age rating, which again doesn't match the UK serial number.
I don't know, we get Peggy over here sometimes as well.
The only time I've seen Peggy is fine for European.
Yeah.
So European games will have Peggy oftentimes instead of the old BBFC certification.
Yeah, we have had it on some like UK games as well. Like,
it seems to be more often now Peggy than the BBFC, yeah.
yeah.
But what we don't have is ERSB, which is the US one.
Oh.
The ESRB one is the one where it's like E for everyone, M for mature, that kind of thing.
Oh, those ones.
Yeah, that. So, it's for the country code that's on it, it's the wrong fucking age rating.
Mm.
If you look at Game Boy Advance, because Game Boy Advance is sort of embossed in the plastic under the lip of the cartridge, as I call it. That isn't even remotely the same font or layout as an official cartridge. And the information that's usually on the back of the cartridge just plain isn't there. It's a plain fucking rectangle. Yeah, it's really obvious, but there are some that are more convincing. Reproductions, though, I'm not necessarily talking counterfeit or bootleg games. So this is taking something like a DuckTales 2 on the Nintendo Entertainment System.
Mm.
A game that is scarce, and I prefer to use the term scarce as opposed to rare, because I don't know how many were produced of that game.
Yeah.
I think, like, a lot of people tried to sell Crash Bandicoot on the PlayStation 1 as rare. It's not fucking rare. It sold over 1 million copies. It got a platinum label re-release. There's a double disc case version, a single disc case version, like a Value Series Best of re-release, and a fucking platinum version out there. It's like 4 different Crash Bandicoots. It sold millions of copies. It is not rare, it is sought after. And there's a big fucking difference, and video game sellers need to remember this, between rare and sought after.
Oh, fucking scalpers.
I know, right? It really fucking drives me insane. Like, Misadventures of Tron Bonne is rare.
Yeah, Toonby is rare.
I don't know if that's rare or scarce. So scarce
actually, yeah,
is not...
Probably scarce.
Yeah. It's like, there are plenty of copies out there, but you don't see them for sale there. And they're the kind of games that relatively low production numbers and were good, so people held on to them and didn't resell them or put them back on the market. Whereas Rare, a lot of the time, you've got either low production numbers, fucking no marketing, so no one bought it, or just a really shitty game, and word of mouth got around, and it was doomed from bad reviews, because that would fucking kill a game in the 90s.
Yeah.
It's sometimes a combination of all of the above, you know. I think it is quite... Oddly enough, it's quite rare for a Rare game to also be good. Anyway, so things like DuckTales 2, which are scarce and expensive, people make reproductions of it. So they'll burn the ROM to a cartridge, they'll put their own label on it, and they will sell that at a fraction of the price of getting the real thing. And I think that's really... There are a few debates you can have. One, is anybody making money off that original game anymore? Unless there's like a virtual console re-release or something, the answer is often no. Two, is it available on any collections or compilations or something like that? For example, Streets of Rage 3, boxed complete, now you're looking at about 100 to 120, which is fucking extortion.
Yeah.
I thought it was high when it was at about 60. That put me off, you know. But people are now doing repros of it in the 40 to 60 region, where they've burned it to a cartridge, put their own label in their own fucking sleeve with it, put it in a case, and they sell it. They even print their own little manuals. It's kind of cute. But I would not buy a reproduction of Streets of Rage 3 because of A, the Sega Mega Drive Ultimate Collection on PS3 and Xbox 360, and B, you can get it on Steam. You know, you can buy it standalone for like a couple of quid. It's otherwise available, and there's still ways to get money back to Sega.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, if you're looking to get for your collection, you'll want an original. Like, if you're looking for it to play, then there's other versions available.
So let's say there are no other versions available. Would you buy a reproduction?
Well, did you say they're selling them for 40 to 60 though?
Yeah, they often are.
Yeah.
They say it's to cover the production costs and shit, but I don't know what their production costs are. For all I know, they could be being fucking greedy.
Yeah, I wouldn't pay that much for a reproduction cart.
No.
But,
okay.
I mean, with reproduction carts, there's also lower quality control as well. So, like, for example, I touched on for a second about the Final Fantasy Game Boy Advance ports years ago. I was buying them when they were still new, and I got them on eBay. And I got 6 legitimately, but 4 and 5 definitely were not legit. And there'd be bits that would just crash in the game, or like saves get corrupted and things like that. So that's part of the inherent risk of it, and a save corrupting on a Final Fantasy game is basically damning, to be fair.
Yeah, it's sort of like game over.
Yeah, exactly.
You could lose tens or hundreds of hours of progress.
Yeah, but I don't know. I mean, if there's no other way to get the game, if it's a reasonable price, and you know, if the company isn't selling it in some other way where they can still profit off it, then yeah, I probably would. I mean, I'm very much a believer in the harm principle. You know, just sort of do what you want as long as it doesn't harm others.
Okay, so you're thinking, well, if there's no money, if there's no way to get the money back to the people who made this thing and put it out there, then yeah, at the end of the day, I just want to fucking play it.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so one problem that does come up, and comes up at conventions and stuff too, is reproductions. It's not always clear that it's a reproduction, so someone will, try and get it exact to the original. And I see this a lot, particularly with Nintendo 64 boxes at the moment. It's something where it's relatively easy to reproduce, it's relatively cheap to reproduce, and Nintendo 64 boxes and inserts are things that get destroyed very fucking easily.
Yeah.
Very few survived going into kids' hands. The same for Super Nintendo boxes.
Yeah, and NES, and Game Boy.
Yeah. I like the ones that either use different art, or very clear, or a different color scheme, or very clearly say on them, reproduction. usually they put it on a code. So instead of a barcode number, you've got reproduction in that box.
So your issue is when they're trying to pass for original and trying to hide the fact that they're reproductions.
Yeah, I think that's really dangerous for collectors. So that's when they start having to look at things like color saturation, the weight of the paper used for the sticker, the coloring of the plastic, how the plastic feels, the texture and the thickness of the plastic.
And then you end up with instances like my Final Fantasy thing.
Exactly, right? You thought you were buying legitimate copies of those games, and you weren't.
Yeah.
And what happened was, because they weren't legitimate copies, like, how many hooky Pokemons are out there that don't have fucking batteries in them?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, the Pokemon Green I got, it was very, very bloody convincing, Leaf Green, but that is not legit.
No, I haven't actually seen the cartridge, but I think I was telling you on Facebook Messenger what to look for, and I think you just messaged me the sudden, shit.
Still, I paid like a $5, so meh.
But, like, the thing is, I think it's probably going to become more prevalent as we get older, because what you've got to remember is a lot of these physical media games, the contacts are going to go.
Yeah.
You know, eventually it's going to happen. And actually, fresh ones might be the only way to go at that point.
Yeah. That's the thing. I mean, the positive side of this whole thing is the fact that it's helping in regards to archiving content, because, you know, it's sad to think of games just sort of being completely unplayable in a certain number of years' time because of the technology at the time. It's just not enough to kind of keep them stored, and we couldn't reproduce them legally because of all this licensing bullshit.
I don't think licensing is always bullshit. As a content creator and the owner of IPs, I very much think that they're worth protecting. For selfish reasons.
Yeah, well, yeah, there's protecting IPs, but then, like, when they're sort of not being used at all, but then at the same time, they can't be sort of redistributed at all for certain reasons. It doesn't benefit anyone.
Okay. Just be like that guy. I'm not fucking doing anything with it. So if you want to take it, and go ahead.
Yeah.
All right. I can kind of see that. How do you feel then about? So there are reproduction cartridges and discs as well, because CD games it extends to.
Yeah.
That whole bunch of fake snatchers, for example.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Quite convincing as well. But how do you feel about games that were never released? So, you know, they were most of the way finished or partway finished and just never fucking came out. So people make reproductions of them and get their own little factory line going and sell them.
Like
for example, Star Fox 2.
As far as I'm concerned, have at it. If Nintendo aren't going to do anything with it, then they're not protecting it.
Okay, so in the example of Star Fox 2, you can tell I've premeditated this a little bit. In the example of Star Fox 2, that ROM was made freely available to everybody for a simple download on the internet. There have been a couple of occasions where someone has come across a ROM of an unreleased game, particularly for the Nintendo Entertainment System. That seems to be the worst offender for this. Yeah. Also a couple of Mega Drive games and a few other bits where, like, I've got this ROM, it's a mostly complete build of a game that never came out. Here's a crowdfunding campaign. Hi, Kickstarter, how are you? They usually don't use Kickstarter because they don't get through the vetting process, but things like GoFundMe and Indiegogo they do sometimes use.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's just direct fucking PayPal donations. That's shady as shit. Yeah. Like, look, if I can get $2,000, I'll produce a limited run of like 50 of these, and I'll take any PayPal donations of over $50 as a fucking pre-order. And I will send you a dumped physical copy that you can play of this unreleased game, and they basically hold the fucking ROM hostage. What are your views on that? Because there are a few people who say, well, they found the game, and if they hadn't unearthed it, then we'd have been none the wiser. It could ignorance is bliss, finders keepers. And there are other people who are like, no, you're fucking clearly in this for yourself. You don't care about archival or the hobby. You're just like, ooh, look what I got my hands on. Look at these desperate fucks who want to play it. How much can I squeeze out of them?
Mm.
Where do you fall?
At that point, it's just that is shady as hell. I'm not for that.
You're like, that's fucking scummy.
Yeah, that is scummy as shit. And to be honest, anyone who supports that, you're a fucking moron.
Nice.
I'm just gonna be blunt. It's like anyone who supports anything shady like that, you're the reason that it's able to be put in place. So you're just as bad as the person perpetrating it. So go fuck yourself.
So basically, by giving in to the temptation and buying the thing, you are facilitating that kind of behavior in the first place, because essentially the message you're sending them is, you can get away with this and make money from it because I've paid you this time, I'll fucking well do it next time.
It literally is the case. I mean, that's the thing.
I like this. We agree on something. This is unusual.
Yeah. Well, it's like when people, fund companies who do shady DLC practices. It's because people are funding them that these companies can carry on doing it. And it's the same with these fuckers that are doing these shady practices with repro carts. They can only do it if people pay for it.
Yeah, I'll say I agree with that. Absolutely. Yeah. Okay.
I mean, like I said, I'm all up for repros if it's an abandonware thing. The ROM is freely available and not being held hostage. The only costs, basically, oh hey, I've produced it. It's to pay for the production, that kind of thing. And hey, if they want to make a little bit of profit because hey, they've put their time and effort into produce it, I don't think that's like the worst thing in the world.
So you think it's about choice. So if someone's freely released a ROM and then said, oh hey, if you want me to dump this to a cartridge for you, let me know and we'll work something out.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I can see that being two different things. Yeah.
Fine. Yeah.
So, okay, final question on this one then. It'll be interesting to see what listeners of the show think. So, let's say there's one game you particularly want to play and you want to play it on the original hardware. Yeah?
Yeah.
And let's say that game goes for 200.
Yeah.
And you can get a reliable repro for 40. Alternatively, you can get an EverDrive for 90 and load as many fucking games on that thing as you want. What do you do? We'll assume, for argument's sake, we'll assume that you have the 200.
Yeah. Let's see.
Well, actually, at the moment, with your outgoings being pretty much fuck all, you probably do have the 200. You probably have more spare cash than me, you motherfucker.
I'm in a transitional period of occupation, so my income is zero, so there's that to consider too.
But you do have savings from when your income wasn't zero and your outgoings are still incredibly low.
Yeah, but it wasn't a great income. It was minimum wage, dude.
Yeah, minimum wage builds up when you don't have rent and shit to pay. Let's not talk about your finances. We're assuming you've got the 200. So you can go for, the original thing, the authentic deal at 200. Well,
40, I've never ever paid 40 for a repro of anything. Like, that's just way too much. If it was like a $5, then I'd go for the repro.
What would the price have to... You mentioned a $5. Is that the highest you would go? What would the price have to be?
Well, for a reproduction cart, highest...
If we think they've got to, burn the ROM to the board, put it in the case, print the label, stick the label on, print the sleeve, put the sleeve in a donor case or print a case, make a case, and then ship it to you.
Maybe about tenner, I guess.
Yeah. Okay, so you'd maybe go tenner.
But then that's as high as I'd go if it was a game I really wanted proper badly.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. And EverDrive.
Honestly, I thought you'd go somewhere between 20 and 30.
Nah, I barely pay that much for brand new games.
Okay.
Last time I paid £30 for a game. God, I can't even remember. That's the thing. When you're a PC game, you're spoilt with game prices. Like game prices on PC are just brilliant.
Are you going to bring that up every week?
I don't bring that up every week. It's just a fact, and it's relevant to the conversation.
Not Mugen is going to comment with the number of consecutive weeks you've brought that up.
It's not consecutive in the slightest. But
Addendum, Terry, it's 4. 4 weeks.
But no, I literally can't remember the last time I paid full price for a game because if there's anything the games industry has taught me these days, it's that a better version of the game will come out next year with all the content, most likely.
Yeah, but we're talking about old shit.
Yeah, I wouldn't pay that much.
It went gold, it went out, and that was it. They couldn't fucking patch it.
Yeah, see, I wouldn't pay that much for old games, really, because, I mean, when I had a massive collection of old systems, this is before all the fucking hipsters and you know...
Before it was cool, okay.
Yeah, all the fucking hipsters were all like, oh my god, retro's the cool thing, and that just drove the prices up. Like, in 2005, you could get a Super Nintendo with, like, Link to the Past, Super Metroid, Super Mario World, and all that for, like, 20 quid.
Ah, the days.
It was fucking brilliant. So I just stocked up, and then after a while, I was like, shit, I need to, like, pay for, you know, food and shit, so then I got rid.
At a much higher price than you bought.
Huh?
At a much higher price than you bought them for.
Oh, yeah.
And it's only gone up since then, sadly. Right, so I'm surprised that you didn't even consider the EverDrive.
£90 for a flash cart when I can just like run ROMs off my PC, and I could probably get a Mega Drive controller that plugs into a USB port for like a few quid on eBay to get that authentic feel as well.
Okay.
£90. Like if I could get a flash cart for the Mega Drive for like £25, I'd probably go for it.
I'm just trying to think what they were the last time I looked at them, and I'm sure it was the 90 range.
Yeah, either that or more, I swear.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
it's not something I want that bad. I mean, the thing is, the prices you're reciting are probably, you know, sort of what they're worth, but it's not what I'm willing to pay.
Which means that to you personally, they're not worth that much.
Well, it's more of a case of
supply and demand. Something's worth is defined by what people will pay.
Yeah, but the thing is, though, like, for example...
Or at least defined by what the majority will pay.
Yeah, well, like, for example, you know, let's say I was on a higher salary where I could just about afford, like, a Lamborghini, but it would still be, you know, it would still be, like, a big expenditure.
I can't imagine you in a Lambo.
Yeah.
I really can't. It's not happening.
But it's like, just because it's above what I'm willing to pay and above my price range doesn't mean that it's not worth the money to me.
You see, I think if it was... What's worth the money is the amount that you're willing to pay, as far as I see it.
No, I disagree. I can see if something's worth I can tell if something's worth the price that it costs, but whether it's within my own personal price bracket is another story. Because what applies to me doesn't apply to everyone else.
Okay. I don't know, like...
Yeah, it's just like, just because something's a particular experience a particular way for me, doesn't mean everyone else's experience is going to be the same.
Right, but for you personally, you've deemed it's... Never mind. I know what I'm trying to say, but I can't think how to articulate it.
Well, it's like with the EverDrive, for instance. I can tell that someone's put a lot of time into getting the software and the hardware able to read the ROMs off the SD card and then just run it through as normal through the original hardware. Like, I imagine there's a lot of reverse engineering involved in that and that kind of thing. So I can see that they're worth a high price, especially as it's a niche item as well, and it's kind of black market as well, so there's that too. But it's just not...
So you think the price is justifiable?
I think it's justifiable, and it's probably worth it, but it's not something I want that bad.
Okay. So it's justifiable, and you can see how the person who created it came to that price, and you've got no quibble or argument with that. It's just you're not willing to pay it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's like I'm not going to go into a Lamborghini showroom and be like, dude, that's overpriced. I'm not fucking paying that. You fucking knock it down.
Okay. Sure.
It's literally like that.
Oh, fucking hell.
I mean, what are your thoughts?
My thoughts at the minute, and this is going to sound really silly because it is that when you said, dude, you need to knock it down, instead of envisioning someone taking a marker and putting the price down, I imagined a wrecking ball coming in through the wall and just smashing the Lamborghini to pieces. Knocked it down!
Okay.
So
yeah, I mean,
it's a case by case basis with me.
yeah.
So I'm trying to think of an example of where I would pay it. Banjo-Tooie is getting more and more and more expensive, and I feel I still regret selling my copy when I needed rent. And if a reproduction came along at the right price and it was of a decent quality, I would be tempted. However, you have to remember that things like the XBLA re-release exists and Rare Replay exists, so actually, on that count, I would never buy a reproduction of Banjo-Tooie. Bad example.
So that means that you'd either rebuy a 360 or buy an Xbox One then?
That would be cheaper than buying a repro.
Probably not.
Well, repro, 40 to 60 quid. Replacement Xbox 360, 25.
More like 50 for a replacement 360.
There are a few places around here you can get them for less than that. Like, much less. Like, there's this... Well, at the moment, places don't seem to be able to fucking get rid of 360s. Like, there are people on some of the small ads at work that are literally like, Xbox 360, I just want it fucking gone.
Damn.
Like, just come and take it. It's taking up space. CEX won't fucking give me anything for it. It's not like Norwich, where you've got 4 shops on one fucking street and they're all competing with each other to give you the best trade-in price. Here, it's you take the shitty deal from CEX or Game, or you go fuck yourself. That's
damn.
it here. You know?
Surprised you wasn't tempted to like take one for free then in one of those fucking ads like when before Dead Rising came out on PS4.
Yeah, but now Dead Rising's out on PS4 and I have no reason to want one.
Oh yeah, true.
So, like Halo 3. You know, it's so yeah, it's that. I can't think of a good example. I think there are certain games I would do it for. Like if there was a Shenmue repro and I didn't already have the originals, and it was considerably cheaper than the originals, I would be tempted. I'm not gonna lie.
You could just burn them to CDR yourself and it'll run straight from the Dreamcast.
Okay, yeah, there's that too, because we figured out how to get around the Dreamcast protection. We figured out the Dreamcast years before we figured out the fucking Sega Saturn. Actually,
much.
yeah. Like Burning Rangers or Panzer Dragoon Saga. Like instead of paying the ridiculous prices for those, I could be tempted by a repro. Because my primary concern, I stopped collecting a while back in terms of I used to collect partly for ego and it was partly to show off, and like I liked having people come around and be like, dude, your fucking gaming collection is huge. Or just like it put a smile on my face when people were like, we were having a gaming night and people were like, you remember that game? Yeah, that was really good. I really want to play it again. And I could just sort of be like, one moment to the shelf. Ha ha! Legend, put it in. And actually, now that I'm a lot older and I don't have company, I was going to say very often, I don't have company. Full stop. The people don't come around. I invite them, they never turn up. I think they're trying to tell me something.
Just to clarify, I'm 4.5 hours away. I'm not a shitty friend.
to be fair, at least you turn up at least once every January.
Yeah, true. It'll probably be a bit more if I had my license by now.
Yeah, pain in the ass. That is.
Yeah, 10-hour public transport trip doesn't seem fun.
Richie's got a fucking car. What's his excuse? He could even bring you. Hell, the January trips, he does use his car and he does bring you. Fucking get on it, Richie. You've proven your reliability over the past few weeks.
Yeah, sure. Moan at the guy that's driven down before.
Yeah. No, you guys come down like at least once a year. It's like not only that, but whose fucking acceptance or validation do I need at this age? I'm fucking old. I got kids and shit. If someone doesn't like me or doesn't want to accept me or I'm not part of their group, tough fucking shit. Fine. Move on. Next one. So actually, where I used to be quite boxed with manual, are originals, are decent condition, I'm now much more, does it fucking run? Is it a game I'm interested in playing? Is it a good price? Does it fucking run?
Yeah.
That's my primary concern. I want to play this fucking thing. This isn't a trophy. I want to fucking play it. And if a repro does that for a fraction of the cost of the original, and there are no official alternatives, then just fucking give me the repro.
I'm with you on that. It actually kind of plays into, remember my question that I gave us the other, I think it was the last recording, where it was like, if there's any abandonware game you'd like to see get redistributed, what would it be? I mean, it kind of brings me back to that a little bit.
Oh, so the ones where, like, this game didn't come out, so here's a fucking repro you can buy.
Yeah, or even games that had, like, a limited run, or even games that you just can't seem to find anywhere, they're just scarce.
I tell you what I'd be tempted on, in terms of repros. I actually quite like when they burn hacks and fan games to cartridges.
Oh, yeah.
There's a few Sonic hacks that could be fun to play on a cartridge. And they are available. You can find them and purchase them.
See, this is the kind of thing I think would be fun to have an EverDrive for.
Yeah, like to play Sonic Classic Heroes, the one where you've got Knuckles and Tails following you and you can switch on the fly between them, but it's through the classic levels.
Yeah.
Fucking A.
Exactly, yeah. I mean...
That tough as balls Shadow the Hedgehog Sonic 2 hack, which is evil.
I mean, at the moment, I've still got quite a few games myself, but, like, I wouldn't really call it a collection. I mean, it's just stuff that I still play, have played, I don't want to get rid of, because I want to go back to, or stuff I do intend to play.
Oh, okay. But, like, I would love to have a cartridge version of... I know I said earlier Streets of Rage 3, I wouldn't be interested in a repro because there are other ways, but... Like, if the Sega Hub on Steam didn't support ROM hacks already, I would be tempted to get... You know that one where they fixed the difficulty, put all the stuff that was cut from the Japanese version back in and all the rest of it?
Oh, yeah.
I'd be interested in buying that burned to a cartridge. I would quite like... There are certain D-makes that have been made as fan games that I would love to see as a repro. Like, they did that 16-bit Halo, and they did it fucking Super Metroid style.
Yeah.
I'd love to play that on an actual NES. That would be great.
Oh, one thing that was quite interesting that was getting distributed around as a repro at one point, Half-Life 1 for Dreamcast.
Yeah!
Yeah,
because that never came to be, did it?
No, it never actually got released, but there was repros on eBay and everywhere for it, and... Like, it actually supported the keyboard and mouse as well, so that handled nicely. And it actually had Half-Life Blue Shift on it, which I think was originally going to be a Dreamcast exclusive until they were like, well, that was a bombed console, let's bring it to PC.
Okay. Well, yeah, I think it's interesting. Like, if someone could somehow put Sonic Mania on an actual Mega Drive cart. Fucking take my money.
Yeah, I think the thing is though that because of how it runs, it probably couldn't be done. Like apparently they've sort of made it.
Oh, I know. Anything they could do would be a poor man's imitation. You know,
Yeah,
try for not get it.
like it looks like an old school game, but it runs like a new one.
I know it. I know it's not possible. I just want it.
Yeah, I know. It's like when Sonic 4 came out, and like even though Sonic 4 is kind of a bust, like it would have been nice to have physical versions.
I think I actually made a mock Mega Drive sleeve to the correct dimensions to print out and put in an empty case, and then just never printed it. It's that I think you can actually find. I think it's like the first Google search result if you put Sonic 4 Mega Drive.
Really?
I can check right now. In the meantime, though, if you're listening to this, let us know what you think of repros. If there are any repro games that you would consider buying or would like to see put onto a cartridge. Yeah, have we got any shout outs?
Don't think so.
No,
No.
not a single one.
But
oh,
no.
there we go. It is the third Google result. If you search Sonic 4 Mega Drive on Google Images, the mock case I made is the third result.
Wow, I'm looking at it right now.
Yeah, the blue one with the second generation Mega Drive thing.
Oh yeah, because the early ones were black.
Yeah, and then it went to that blue one later on. So yeah, there's that. It's. I think I did okay.
Yeah, it looks alright.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, but just I mean, one final thought. I mean, with like all this abandonware stuff, like it's kind of interesting when some of it gains a following and then ends up sort of getting. Did I say fan stuff? I meant to say repro stuff. It's interesting when it gets a following and then gets redistributed officially. Like System Shock 2 is my go-to for that, you know.
What's the name of the fucking game? Freedom Planet. That'd be cool to see on a Mega Drive cartridge. It'll never happen because of the way the game's built and runs, but
yeah,
cool to see.
To me, it kind of looks a bit more like a Game Boy Advance game.
Yeah?
Yeah, there's just something about the style of it. It just kind of reminds me more of like Sonic Advance and that kind of stuff.
You see, I see it as like a late Mega Drive, early Mega CD / 32X game.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's a vibe I get. Mainly because it's CD quality music, so probably a better fit for the Mega CD.
True.
Yeah.
On that note as well, when the bloody hell are Sega going to redistribute Knuckles Chaotix? I mean, we've not seen that redistributed anywhere.
I think this is the same reason we've not seen Mighty the Armadillo in any games. I think now, if I remember right, it's something about the guy who designed Mighty also has the rights to Mighty, and when he left Sega, the rights to Mighty the Armadillo went with him.
Just do a palette swap and make him Sonic.
Well, Mighty, ironically, was a palette swap to begin with. So.
Exactly. So it'll be fine.
Yeah, it'll be fine.
Or just get someone from DeviantArt to let them use their OC and just make it a palette swap of a Sonic of a different colour.
At which point it's not Mighty anymore. And we've completely missed the fucking point. Yeah, I can't see Knuckles Chaotix being distributed, and I'm pretty sure there's some kind of rights dispute around Mighty himself. And of course he features as a playable character in that game, so we're pretty much fucked. However, we have rambled for a considerable length of time, certainly longer than we usually do, so thank you for sticking with us.
Yeah.
And whether it's morning, afternoon, or evening, have a fucking awesome day.
Good night, everyone.
Night-night.